Hello and welcome back to another video. We're going to be discussing in this one, will we see Gervonta Tank Davis against Vasyl Lomachenko next up? For me, obviously Tank coming straight off the back of the Frank Martin fight at the weekend, a very, very good competitive fight. Obviously Tank came on really strong in round 7 and stopped Frank Martin with a beautiful left hand one-punch KO in the 8th. Loma's just fought against George Kambosos. It was maybe a month or so ago. In Australia, so he's now IBF champion. It makes complete sense to do that fight next. I'll give him a reasoning as to why I think that in this video. Just like, comment, and subscribe to the channel if you can, please, guys. It helps me massively. Obviously, Loma beat Kambosos last month. Tank has just fought Frank Martin. Why we need to see it next is Lomachenko still has gas in the tank. I know a lot of people I've been interacting with them online. Telling me Loma is over the hill and, he's a shell of him former self. He's not the Lomachenko he probably once was, which is, probably fair to say. But I still think he can cause Gervonta Davis some problems in that fight. Ultimately, Tank, if he detonates on Loma, I don't think Loma or anybody at 135 pounds can take that. Tank looked fairly small against Frank Martin in the ring on Saturday night. I'm convinced if Tank really wanted to, he could still make 130 pounds. We know Lomachenko is not the biggest lightweight in the world either, so I think it's a nice, matchup for both of them. But what I really don't want to see happen is for Tank and his team to wait out Lomachenko. At 36 now, maybe they take another one this year, and then you look at middle to back end of next year. When Lomachenko is 37, pushing 38, we know at heavyweight that's not as much of an issue, but in the lighter weights, 135, 130 pounds, whatever division you may be in, the career is notoriously not as longer. The reactions are faster at the lighter weights. You do lose that a little bit, as you get towards your late 30s and 40 years old, where Lomachenko would be at that stage. So I think the time is now. It has to happen next. We have to see Tank against Loma, hopefully at the back end of this year. I know there's been noise for the Shakur Stevenson fight. Being realistic, that's not going to happen next. We know that. Shakur's fighting in a couple of weeks' time. It's PBC and Top Rank. I believe they are in talks to be working together, which is great. But I think they'll marinate that fight, at least for another 12 to 18 months at least, if we do ever see it. I'm skeptical if we do see Tank versus Shakur, but hopefully we do, because that fight's going to be absolutely huge. In an ideal scenario, what I would love to see happen is Tank fight Loma, and then after Shakur's upcoming fight, he fights Branchik, then we get 2 unification fights, and then obviously the winner of both of the unification fights can fight for a massive undisputed fight. And if you believe that's Tank against Shakur, how many numbers will that do on pay-per-view? Tank versus Shakur, undisputed fight, 135 pounds. Wow, that would be absolutely astronomical. So in an ideal world, boxing politics aside, that would be, the play to go, in my opinion, but it doesn't always work out like that. Hopefully, and the landscape of the sport is changing now, where we are seeing a lot of these big fights. A few years ago, I definitely wouldn't have had any confidence at all that we'd see that, but hopefully we do. But back onto the Loma fight, he deserves a big payday to finish his career. I'd like to see him lead the sport, whether he beats Tank or whether he doesn't. It's a huge uphill task for Lomachenko. We've seen at the weekend just gone that Tank just needs one. Ultimately, it doesn't matter who you are. That shot that lands on Frank Martin lands on anybody. He's putting them to sleep. His pressure coming forward is very, very intelligent too. He's not just a puncher. He can do it all. But if anyone's going to cause him problems, Lomachenko's not going to sit on the ropes. Like Frank Martin did for the last couple of rounds. Loma's very, very intelligent. He's very hard to land fully clean on. Tank hasn't been as active as he'd have probably liked to have been. He's had his issues, so it's definitely not a foregone conclusion. Tank would rightfully be the favorite in that fight. He's in the prime of his career. He's 29 years old. Loma's at the tail end of his at 36, but it's a great fight. But I want to see it next, so I don't want to see it happen. I don't want to see Tank fighting a completely washed up version of Lomachenko and just going in and drilling him to effectively steal his name and have Loma's name on his record. I really don't want to see that. So please get involved in the comments, guys. Please let me know if you think Tank versus Loma will happen next. And if it's not Lomachenko, give me some suggestions on who you think Tank will fight next. Thank you for watching.